Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. We're also on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. I have 4 other podcasts, and I'm a podcasting coach. They're the Awakening Podcast, the Speaking Podcast, Learn Polish Podcast, and the Crypto Podcast, and all can be found on roycollin.com. Today, my guest, currently based in Texas, please welcome Hope Pedraza.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. So you might let the listeners know who's Hope.
Yeah. So I'm Hope Pedraza, and I live in San Antonio, Texas in the States, and I am a certified holistic nutritionist. I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and I'm also the founder of inBalance, which is a Pilates-based fitness franchise.
So excellent. I suppose you might let us know, first of all, your journey, how you got into, Pilates and everything.
Yeah, for sure. So my background is in dance. I started dancing when I was about 3 years old, and I danced through, really all the way through college up until, I still feel like I'm a dancer at heart. So I feel like I'll always be a dancer. And we do teach some dance cardio classes at my studio, but yeah, so dance is really what got me into Pilates. I think when I was in high school, I started going to the gym with my mom, back in the 90s, early 2000s, you do step aerobics and you do all the things at the gym. And I started doing Pilates with her. And then as I got into college, I just started doing it as kind of a side gig. It just, I fell in love with it when I started doing it, just the fluidity and the precision and all of it was just such a great form of movement. And again, lent well to my, my dance background. And so in college, I started doing it as just kind of a side gig to make money, like, teaching on campus. And it just kind of grew from there. And then here I am with my studio, and it's just what I love to do every day.
Excellent. So I suppose in a nutshell, for those who haven't got a clue, what's Pilates all about?
Yeah, that's probably a good question. And there's a lot of people, well, and it's funny because a lot of people just think like yoga and Pilates are the same thing, but they're really not. So Pilates really is a focus on the core. And, there's different schools of teaching. So depending on where you take it, you might, the class structure might be a little bit differently, but really in essence, it's just a focus on the core, and it's focused on precision control, precise controlled movements initiated from the core. So the core, also for those listening who don't exactly know what your core is really from your shoulders down through your hips. It's not just your abs. Like people think your core is just your abs. So really it's so much more than that. And so in Pilates, working all the parts of your core, your shoulder girdle, your deep intrinsic ab muscles, your hip flexors, your glutes, all of those parts of the core, and working all of those from different directions, from different angles, and just giving like a full body movement experience that really uses your own body weight as resistance.
Excellent. And then with the yoga, then like they're kind of combining. But what's your yoga journey? Similar?
Yeah. So I see, when did I start? I guess I probably started I don't teach yoga, but I started taking yoga when I was in college too. And I think as kind of my like spiritual journey has progressed, my journey like into yoga has progressed. Cause I used to be one of those people who was like, I wasn't a huge fan of yoga because I'm like, I can't sit still for that long. Like this is too slow. It's not fast enough. My brain is like, blah, going all over the place. And so I think as I kind of started my, my spiritual journey, my mindfulness journey is when I could really like appreciate what yoga is and like the benefits of yoga. So, it was probably not until well after college where I could really like acknowledge and recognize the importance of moving slow and being still and having that more mindful experience where Pilates is still that mind body connection. It's still a mind body movement, but it's just a little bit different with yoga where it's that the breath is a little different, the emphasis on slower movements, more flexibility is a little bit different. So it's while they are good, it's a good like thing to integrate both of them. I do feel like there's good benefits, like separate benefits of each.
Okay. And with meditation, then do you practice meditation?
I do. Yes. So I got into meditation I want to say probably 4 years ago. And I think I read a lot. I listen to audibles, when I'm driving and stuff. So I think I started reading some books, and I started getting into it with a couple just thought leaders. And then I really got into it when I found Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you know who that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I got like all of his books. I read all of his books and I got my husband into it. We went to one of his like workshops right before we made it just before COVID. So it was literally February of 2020 was when we went to one of his workshops. But I think like learning, because his style is just so unique than a lot of other, meditation styles that you can do. And so I think putting together that scientific piece with it was really helpful, especially for my husband who's very analytical and was very like also one of those who was like, I can't sit still long enough to meditate, my brain, whatever. But I think, putting a little bit of neuroscience with it was helpful in being able to like understand kind of the reason behind it, like the importance of it. But yeah, so that's kind of where it started for me. And I think I love I love Kundalini. I love all types of meditation now. And I like to experience a little bit of everything. Yoga Nidra is something I've been really getting into that I really love too. Just a different form of meditation, a different form of yoga. But yeah, I like to experience all of it. I think all different types have, again, kind of like yoga and Pilates, there's benefits to each, right? And I like to experience a little bit of everything.
Excellent. And I know you're big into nutrition. So like, how relevant is the nutrition to be with your movement?
Yeah. They're so intertwined. You can't have one. And that's really why I started my journey into nutrition coaching and being a nutritionist was, I had my studio first and it's mostly women and we have some men, but it's mostly women. And I would hear them talking to each other and talking about they're doing this diet and they're doing that diet. And I'm like, no, like this is not, you're not doing it right. This is not the way to do it. And so I really wanted to be able to add that like level of support for the ladies, specifically the ladies come into my studio where it's like, they're not just going by the fads and they're not just going by, what their neighbor did to lose 20 pounds or whatever, but they're going like by actual sound nutrition advice and having that level of support and accountability where they really need it. And so that's kind of where it started. And then I've just kind of progressed my education from their nutrition and in integrating those together, weaving in the nutrition with movement. Because you really and truly, when you're looking at wellness, you can't have one without the other. Like there's no way you can really feel that full sense of being well without connecting movement with the nutrition and the mindfulness. I think the mindfulness is equally as important as those other two pieces. And I really integrate that into my nutrition programs and have this whole section that I teach my clients about incorporating mindfulness into their day every day, because you can't, all of those pieces work together and all of them really work to, the body needs all of those to work synergistically and to be balanced and to work just in harmony.
And I know just from your website, you've got a lot of beautiful recipes that, I wish I could cook that kind of stuff as I'm looking at. But those that are listening, you actually give all the ingredients and show how to make it. And you have, I don't know how many, but there was a lot, as well as desserts and everything. So it's plant-based you go by?
Yeah. So I'm predominantly plant-based and I don't necessarily teach my clients how to be plant-based, but I take what I call a plant-focused approach where I'm just putting the focus on plants. And, whether, my clients want to incorporate meat or not isn't an issue. Like if you want to, because I'm, fully aware that being plant-based is not for everybody. I'm a firm believer in bio-individuality and there's not one diet that's right for everybody. And so, but I do see the importance just, from a scientific perspective of incorporating plants and kind of putting that as the emphasis on the meals. And so I'm helping my clients not so much be plant-based, but let's put a focus on plants. Maybe we add a couple like just plant-based meals into your week. So you do have some meals where you are just eating plant-based, but you're not eating it all the time. And it's really, I take kind of a focus on gut health. And so my approach comes from healing the gut. And so by taking that plant-focused approach, I'm able to help, balance out the gut microbiome, balance out the bacteria in the gut, able to build a healthy gut lining and protect against permeability. And so we're using the plant-based food to really build a healthy body.
Just on the, like the gut, I know a lot of people have issues with that. And I remember, like I grew up, there's like a lake where there's a lot of swans and different types of birds. And at one stage, then they said, stop feeding the birds because, the bread is killing the birds. And I remember thinking, what about us? And
right.
From my research, it appears that they've actually modified the wheat. I don't know when it was done, but they've modified the wheat so that it affects us. And there's a lot of people that actually have a problem
Yes.
because of that.
Yes, for sure. Well, and it's crazy. And this, I could like go down a rabbit hole here, but it's really crazy where, you living in Europe, it's so much different than here in the States, because so many of the ways that we process our food here in the States are illegal in most countries in Europe. Like our food has just been in the United States, has just been totally stripped of all nutritional value. And so like, I know for me personally too, like I've been to Europe a few times, and the few times I've been, like, I am super duper sensitive to dairy, but I can go to Italy. We went to Italy a few years ago. I mean, I ate pizza because I'm like, I can't go to Italy and not eat gelato or pizza or whatever. I had zero issues the whole time I was there. And it's like the quality of the food is just completely different. And I think a lot of people don't understand that in the United States, just the way our food is processed. Again, processed food isn't, obviously, we want food in its whole purest form, but the way our food is processed is just totally different. And so it is. I mean, it really takes a toll on your body. It really does.
And I don't know why there's so many different regulations, but I've
I
seen
know.
even like Heinz and a lot of the difference in the ingredients between Europe and America. And
Yep.
anytime, I mean, before the recording, you asked me about being in different parts, and I was in a few times in America. And it was the one thing, the food is terrible there. It's
Yes,
even
I
if you
believe
stay
it.
in a 4-star hotel, I
Yes.
think it was the Marriott or something I stayed at one day,
Yes.
and I was so shocked at how bad the breakfast was. It's like,
I believe it. I believe it. My husband worked with a girl who was from the UK for a while, and she was saying when she moved here, she's like, I was sick for probably the first 2 years I was here. Like I could not tolerate the food. I just like destroyed her gut. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge difference.
so I see you're board certified member of the American Association of Drugless Practitioners. I love the drugless because, to be honest with you, you won't find one drug in my house. I
Yep.
haven't taken anything for I don't know how many years. It's just, it doesn't exist. But
Yep.
unfortunately, some people, their cabinets are full of medication, and I don't think they realize, one, the side effects, and two, the combination
Yep.
of actually the concoctions they're putting together. There's no
Yep.
tests have ever been done. So you
Yep.
might let me know about that board, what that system does.
Yeah, yeah. Yes. So it really just kind of goes along with what I do as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner and a holistic nutritionist, is just, taking a holistic approach to health and taking a more functional approach where we're looking at treating the whole body in terms of like coaching up function of the entire body and coaching down whatever kind of, dysfunction or metabolic chaos is going on in the body. And we're doing this like just basically helping your bodily systems function as they're supposed to. Because I mean, the fact is, a lot of people do turn to over the counter medications or whatever for their symptoms. But when you're just managing symptoms, you're just putting a band-aid on it, right? Like you're not getting to the root cause why it's happening. And so when you're able to look at it from a holistic perspective or from like the functional approach, you're able to really get down to the root cause of the problem, so that you're not just putting a band-aid on the symptom, or you're not just treating symptoms, but you're treating the whole body, so you can coach up function of all the organ systems in your body. Because when something is going wrong, when you're having symptoms in the body, it's not just one thing. Like it's this cascade effect. Like, and then so it's almost impossible to like pinpoint exactly where it started, because so many symptoms are, results of other things. And so when you're treating it from that functional perspective, when you're treating the whole body, when you're coaching up function of the whole body, you're treating the body as a whole and not just like piecemealing, the symptoms. Let's treat the symptom and the symptom and the symptom. So yeah, so that's what that is. And just being able to use, nutrition, food is medicine, right? Food is medicine, using nutrition, using supplementation to help, your cells function optimally, and using things like mindfulness, managing stress, regulating your nervous system, like all those things together to really help just the function of your entire body.
And it's a pity that the medical industry doesn't tell people that, because I know that they actually, when they're going for surgery, it's for financial reasons. And this, even doctors, they get the kickback as well, that when they're recommending. And as you say, it's the band-aid. They're cutting off people's
Yeah.
parts of their lungs, different parts, and they don't even tell them what they should do to
Yep.
change what they're
Right.
doing, and just go away. And then
Exactly.
unfortunately, they've just limited their time scale, on
Yeah.
this planet.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yeah. Once again, I had this conversation last week, specifically talking about women's health. And I don't know if it's the same in Europe, but here in the United States, birth control is the solution for everything. Like, oh, your hormones are out of whack, take birth control. You have bad skin, take birth control. Like, I mean, literally everything. And now, like me, I'm living in this generation of women from like, 30 to 45, where there's substantially increased numbers of PCOS and infertility and depression and just like total hormonal imbalances. Well, like, yeah, we've been on these synthetic hormones for how long? Like, it's just destroying our body's like natural way of functioning.
And that's all orchestrated, because I mean, like, I grew up in the 70s and I don't remember anybody having problems having children. In fact,
Yeah,
people were having too many children.
exactly.
And now the amount of friends and people that I know, and they just can't have children, but they, they badly want them. And yeah, you're dead right. I mean, even you mentioned about the skin. I remember, people being told go on the pill because they've got acne, and it's like, what?
Yep, exactly.
And that association then of like for the drug, is there many involved in that? Because I haven't heard of that before. Is it a big organization?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, a lot of holistic nutritionists and nutritionists in general, a lot of registered dietitians, a lot of functional medicine doctors, are just kind of all part of that.
And I know, like, because I've got friends that are, neuropathic doctors and everything. They've all been in the last 2 years during the craziness that's going on. They've been, so I assume it's the same in that field as well, that you've been kind of warned, don't be telling people about what really will cure them.
Yeah, you really have to be careful. Well, and you really have to be careful with that. Well, even before this, I know I had some friends who sell like essential oils and stuff, and I know they would like have to be careful because a lot of their stuff, their posts and stuff on certain platforms would get shut down. So yeah, you really do have to be careful about how you say things. And
I mean, my other channel, The Awakening, that's my podcast that's exposing all. I've had doctors on, international doctors, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny and a lot of them, and I got kicked off. And
that happens.
And I write, okay, let me know where the information was incorrect. And they cannot, because there was nothing false about it. I suppose, like, the mindfulness, like, I know we touched on it, but because I suppose it all loops, because mind, body, and keep away from all these toxic drugs. And it's all connected. So I suppose what advice you could kind of give people, because some people, they just kind of, unfortunately, they listen to their government, or they listen to the medical practitioner thinking they have their best interest at heart. And I believe it all comes from within you. You look after yourself, and once you take control of yourself, your health will start improving.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. I think that's the biggest piece. And this is something I talk about a lot is building that sense of awareness, like within yourself. And I think that's the first step, really, because I get asked that a lot too. Like, what's the first step to really taking control of your health? It's really building that sense of awareness, because I think for the majority of people, they really have no idea what's going on in their body. Like, they haven't stopped long enough to really check in with, how they're feeling, how their body's functioning, how, food and, personal care products and things actually affect their body. We don't make this space. We don't have, it's that mindfulness piece that you're talking about. A lot of us just don't have the wherewithal to be still long enough to really build on that sense of awareness. And really, I think that's really the first piece, the first step is building a sense of awareness. So just check in with how you feel, like check in throughout the day. And that, again, stress is, it's the cause of everything going on in our body, whether it's physical stress, chemical stress. It's stressors is what's causing any dysfunction, imbalances in the body. And a lot of us just live in this chronic state of stress throughout the day because we don't take the time to check in with ourselves. Like, am I stressed? How does my body feel? Like, do I need to take a breather? And so I really think it's just building that sense of awareness. And so that you can make, like you were talking about, making decisions more like intuitively, checking with your body and how does your body feel, and taking control from within, and let your body tell, because your body's going to tell you what it needs. Your body's going to tell you what it needs to function optimally if you stop long enough to listen to it.
Absolutely. And like, I know, because we discussed as well, you were planning on franchising, you've started, but obviously the craziness that has happened in the last 2 years, but you might kind of let people know how it works? And is it just something that you're planning on doing just in the States, or are you looking at doing international as well?
You know, I am a full believer in the sky is the limit. So I have big dreams. Yeah. So I did franchise just before, just not too long before COVID, and kind of worked on building my studio into a franchisable model. And I have one franchise location here in Texas. And yeah, I mean, that's the dream. That's the goal, is to kind of expand from here. And I wanted to build, when I first started my studio, I wanted something where people could get anything they wanted in one place. So you want high intensity, low intensity, you want meditation, you want yoga, whatever you want, you can get it all in one place. And then as I've kind of evolved, I've evolved that principle as well, and offering, nutrition and wellness and all of those things. So it's just like a one-stop shop wellness boutique. And so that's the franchisable model that I'm bringing to the world, is kind of just this like wellness space in a box.
Well, I'd like to see a lot more of them than hospitals or
Yes,
medical centers.
totally,
So,
absolutely.
So I suppose finally with the social media then, because for your practice or just for you, it's like what, because there's different people that are trying to promote themselves or their business or whatever, what you feel works, because everybody's got their own kind of take. It wrecks my head, to be honest with you, trying to be everywhere and then just trying to figure out which ones are the best.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and you really just have to find what works for you. Again, it kind of goes back to that intuitive piece, like what feels good for you, what feels that works for you. I've mainly focused on Instagram and Facebook. I have a YouTube channel. I don't spend a whole lot of time on it. And I'm kind of on most of the platforms, but I spend most of the time on Facebook and Instagram. I am the same, where and I'm just one person too. Like I can't be on all the things at one time. Maybe when, eventually when I have a huge team, we can be on all the places at all the times. But for now, Facebook and Instagram works for me. That's where I've gotten all my clients, and that's where, we do advertising and stuff. So that's what works for us. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So you might hope you might let people know how they can contact you.
Yeah. So I'm probably most active on Instagram. I'm at the Hope Pedraza. And then I also have a free Facebook group. It's Live Wholesome and Healthy, and it's just for all things holistic living and holistic nutrition.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I'll make sure I put the links in both the audio and the video. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
So that's all for the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on the meditationpodcast.org. We're on BitChute and YouTube. You'll find the links in the podcast description. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star review, subscribe. It all helps. Until next week, take care.